Well, hello there and welcome. This is Network Africa on Channels Television with me, Cynthia Are. Now, could relations between Egypt and Mexico be in trouble? Well, just before we answer that question and bring you the latest from Cairo, here's a quick look at the top 3 stories which made headlines on the African continent this weekend.
At least 9 people were killed in 2 bomb attacks on Sunday, September the 13th, in the northern Cameroon town of Kolofata, according to local officials, in what appeared to be the latest attack by the suspected Boko Haram group. Army spokesman Colonel Didier Bajek, who confirmed the death toll, said an investigation was underway amid diverging reports about whether the attacks were carried out by 2 teenage boys or 2 young women. A man in the village said the attacks had been carried out by 2 children. In a similar but less deadly incident, unidentified attackers ambushed a police post in the central Mopti region of Mali on Saturday, killing 2 police officers standing guard. Mali's military said on Monday it had arrested 3 suspected members of a new Islamist militant group, the Massina Liberation Front, blamed for attacks in Mali's center and south this year. Finally, a South African school principal bludgeoned to death 25 years ago for refusing to take part in a witchcraft-related ritual was beatified by the Roman Catholic Church on Sunday, September the 13th, moving him a step closer to sainthood. Benedict Dessoir was named the country's first homegrown martyr at the ceremony, which was broadcast live on television. Deputy President of South Africa, Cyril Ramaphosa, hailed the historic occasion in a speech at the beatification ceremony.
This is an occasion in which millions of South Africans will share with deep faith and affection. This is the first time in the history of the Catholic Church of Southern Africa that a South African man is being recognized as a blessed martyr of Christ. This is therefore a special honor for the Church in this region, and we thank His Eminence, the Pope, and indeed the Catholic Church for bestowing this honor on one of our own.
Dessoir was murdered by his fellow villagers in 1990 after he refused to join in consulting a traditional sorcerer about a lightning strike that burned down several huts in Shetanini, more than 500 kilometers northeast of Johannesburg.
Now, an unfortunate incident has taken place in Egypt this morning as security forces in the country have mistakenly killed 12 people, including 8 Mexican tourists, during an anti-terror operation. The Egyptian Interior Ministry confirmed that the tourists were traveling in 4 vehicles, which entered a restricted zone in the Wahat area of the Western Desert. 10 Mexicans and Egyptians were also injured and are being treated in a local hospital. Attacks on army and police in the Sinai Peninsula are far from new and have escalated since the Islamist President Mohamed Morsi was ousted back in 2013. Mexico's President Enrique Peña Nieto is far from pleased with this incident and has not only condemned it, but has also demanded an exhaustive investigation by the Egyptian government. On its part, the Mexican Foreign Ministry has confirmed that at least 2 of its nationals had been killed. But from what we heard just about 30 minutes ago, we believe that the toll has gone up by 8. Let's take a quick look at the relations between Egypt and Mexico. We understand they've had 7 meetings for annual consultations. They've had 50 years of diplomatic relations, identification of new areas of cooperation. They've also promoted reciprocal investment and trade. Education and cultural and scientific cooperation has also been taking place between these 2 countries, and they've also increased contacts between public and private sectors. For more on this incident, we go live to Cairo, where the Voice of America's Edward Iranian is standing by. Edward, thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Cynthia.
It's a pleasure, as always. What is the latest concerning this unfortunate incident?
Egyptian media is saying that the numbers of casualties could possibly go up because a number of people were seriously wounded in the incident. One of the Egyptian journalists I was listening to was saying it could go up to 15 people. Of course, the numbers really don't tell you what happened.
Yes.
I think listening to some of the witnesses, or I guess there was at least one witness that spoke, an Apache helicopter attacked the tour group, apparently by mistake. I can't imagine why a pilot would do that on purpose. There were Islamic State militants allegedly in the area. At least there was a tweet to the effect that they were there. So I think it's an embarrassment to the Egyptian government. Certainly, I can't imagine that they would want something like this to happen. But then again, a lot of friends and colleagues were mentioning that you have a bigger risk of dying in a road accident than in something like this.
Exactly. In truth, what kind of accident is this? Because analysts are looking at the nature. We understand that there were 4 vehicles in total, and right now you're saying the death toll could go up to 15. So what kind of mistake was this? People are questioning if this was actually an accident or a deliberate act.
Yes. Well, considering that this will affect the tourism industry in Egypt, which is a major mainstay of the economy, I can't imagine that they would do this. Anyone would do this on purpose, unless someone malevolent individual belongs to the Air Force, and I doubt that's true either. They are fighting militants along the Libyan border who have been infiltrating. It's really nothing new. The Western media insists in talking about the increase in the insurgency. You see that in just about every story you read coming out of the Western media organization. But they've been saying this for the last 2 years, so I think some of it's wishful thinking. Certainly, the situation is not wonderful, but I would question that the insurgency, as they're calling it, is growing. But as I said, there are militants in this area. Call them militants, call them Islamic State. They're in another era they would have just been called troublemakers.
Now, Edward, you've mentioned that this could in fact, or obviously will affect Egypt's tourism industry, but we've also seen that Egypt and Mexico go way back. We're looking at 50 years of diplomatic relations here. Could this put a damper on those relations?
Well, the Mexicans have said they were canceling their Independence Day ceremonies tomorrow at their embassy. I think that any country would do that in the wake of an incident like this. I suspect that they would not cut relations with Egypt. I don't think they think this was done maliciously. They would like to see an investigation. I suspect there will be an investigation. But at this point, according to most of the media people, the analysts that I've been listening to, it sounds like a friendly fire incident.
Well, it's definitely a developing story, and if there will be an investigation, which it looks like there will be, we'll definitely be reaching out to you. Edward, thank you so much for joining us. It's been a pleasure as always. Thank you.
Thank you, Cynthia.
The Voice of America's Edward Diranian reporting from Cairo. Still to come on Network Africa. A memorial park is unveiled in Nairobi to commemorate the thousands of people who were tortured and abused at the hands of British forces during the colonial era.